Hi, hello, Miss Steele here. I'm here at the bottom and I'm recording what I'm doing with my hands. So this week we are talking about color. So we're going to make our own pattern color wheels using line and shape, what we've talked about before. Pattern we'll learn about another week. But for this project, we want a white piece of paper. You want a pencil and an eraser, definitely our art tool basics. Scissors, because we're going to cut it out at the end. You want something round to trace, you can draw your own circle, or if you can find a lid, a plate, a bowl, those are all good options. So you want something round to trace, and then you want something to color with. And I'm using colored pencils, so I have a little sharpener as well. I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way because we need to start with tracing our circle. So I'm going to put it right here in the middle. I hold it down with one hand. And then using my other hand, I draw around so I can get my circle. And just like that, we have our circle. So now we want to turn this into a color wheel. And we want it to have 6 different sections. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw a line going down the middle, the best I can. Now we have 2 sections. We want to break this up into 6 sections. So the next thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add an X. So there's my first line, and here's my second line. I'm making for sure they're all touching in the middle. So I drew this X, and then here's my line going down the middle, and this is our start of our color wheel. So our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. These are our primary colors because we mix these colors together to create every other color. So what you're going to do is you're going to color in one red lightly, one yellow lightly, and then one blue lightly. We want to color it in lightly because we want to press harder to go back and add in those patterns. And we want to leave a space in between because this is where our secondary colors are going. I'm erasing that pencil line just so it's not as dark, and then I'm going to color in this red so you can see how I color it in. First, I like to outline the shape, just because I think it looks a little nicer that way. And then I want to color this in lightly, as I said, because I want to go back and add patterns into it. So to color it in lightly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold far back on my colored pencil, and that will make it to where I apply less pressure, which will make it lighter. If I'm holding way up here, it's going to apply more pressure, and it's going to make it darker. So I'm going through and I am lightly coloring this in red. And then I'm going to leave a space blue, leave a space yellow. So I'm making for sure I'm getting all the white space colored in so it looks nice and pretty. And if we get it all colored in and there's no white space in the background, it looks more finished that way. And I want this to look like a finished piece of artwork. So I'm going to finish coloring in my red, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to color in that blue and that yellow section too, and then we'll move on to our secondary colors. So I'm going to consider that one done, and then I'm going to move on and color in these 2, and then we'll be back. So this almost looks like a beach ball, but I have my 3 primary colors. My sneeze. I'm going to grab my 3 secondary colors now. So the secondary colors are the colors that come second after our primary colors are mixed. So that is green, orange, and purple. So I'm going to grab my purple, and then we're going to color these in. Where we put our secondary colors on our color wheel matters. So what we're going to do is in these white spots, we're going to add the color that it mixes to make. So yellow and blue mix to make green. Red and yellow mix to make orange. That's why orange is in between. And then purple, red and blue mix to make purple. So that's why we have these in these spots, because green comes in between these 2 because that's what color is made whenever you combine them. purple is in between red and blue because that's what you mix together to make. So if you combine them, it would be purple. And the same goes for orange with red and yellow. So what I'm going to do for these sections again is I'm going to go through and color them in lightly, just like I did with these other three. So I outline my shape just so it's easier to color in because I have this outline now. And then I'm going to go back and color it in lightly so then I can add a pattern on top. So I'm going to get these three colored in, and then we will finish by adding our patterns and cutting them out. So I'm going to get my green, my purple, and my orange colored in. And like I said, where you put them, where you place them is important because you want your colors to all be in the right spot. So the colors you put in between your two primaries should be what they mix to make, which is why green's going in between yellow and blue because that's what it mixes to make. I'm going to get purple and orange colored in, and then we will add on our patterns. So I have it all colored in, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and add in those patterns. So pattern is any element that repeats itself. We're going to focus on patterns using line and shape because that is what we've already talked about. So for this one, I think I'm going to add a pattern that is zigzag lines. And because I colored it in lightly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with red, and I'm going to press super hard, and you should be able to see it because we colored it in lightly, and now I'm pressing harder. It's going to be a darker value, so it's going to be a darker version or a more pigmented version of the color. So then there is my first. Over here on blue, for the primary colors, I'm going to use lines as pattern, and then for the secondary, I'm going to use shape. So I think for this one, I'm going to add in swirly lines, like this. So because I'm repeating it again and again, it makes it a pattern. Like that. And then for the yellow, I think I'm going to make a pattern of straight lines. I'm going to see if it shows up, and if it doesn't, oh, nope, it's showing up. And then for my secondaries, to make it easier, I'm going to make a pattern of shapes. So each one, I'm just going to repeat the same shape again and again, but in the secondary colors, using different shapes for each color. Like that. So now I'm going to move on to the secondary. You can use whatever kinds of lines you want, or you can use the same lines. And I think I'm going to decorate this one with a bunch of organic shapes, if you remember. They almost look like spots. So I'm just going around and repeating different organic shapes for this pattern. So I'm going to keep going through and adding some shapes, and then we'll look at it whenever it is all finished. All right, so I decided to do long rectangles and then some triangles, and now I have 3 shape patterns, 3 lines patterns. My color wheel is correct, so my last step is going to be cutting this out. If you wanted to glue it on some pretty colored paper, you could, but I think I'm going to leave mine as just cut out. And now I have my own color wheel with patterns that I can look at and use whenever I need to use it. I'm excited to see how yours come out, and I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon. Bye, you guys.